Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to SeahawkTalk here on the Salve Athletics Network, coming to you live on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope through Twitter. I am your host, Andrew Pizzelli. Welcome to today's show, TGIF. We've got a long weekend ahead of us, and we want to send you into it well. Today on the program, we have Mikey Spencer, Danny Eruzione, David Lunn, and rounding out the show, we will have our head women's basketball coach, Cori Hughes. We have a lot to get to, but before we get to that, and our producers, we want to remind everybody to keep their distance.
Better keep your distance. Better keep your vanity. Better keep your distance. Better keep your vanity. Better keep your distance. Better keep your vanity. Better keep your distance. Better keep your vanity.
All right, that is the Shake with Keep Your Distance, our constant message here on the Seahawk Talk program, keeping your distance, hand washing, all that sort of stuff. We talked yesterday about the Swiss cheese method to handling the coronavirus, that you need all the methods. You need the hand washing, social distancing, mask wearing, all that sort of stuff, and we will constantly be promoting all of that here on the program, and especially because, as we learned yesterday, Salve Regina is one of the best colleges in the state right now, with only 2 cases of coronavirus on campus. So we're all doing a great job, and we want to keep that up. I want to bring in the producers now, Joey Morelli and Mike DeFusco. Fellas, how are we doing here on a Friday afternoon?
I'm doing well.
Good. I'm here. My camera turned off. I guess my fix didn't work. Oh, here I am. There I am.
Alrighty,
We got 'em.
fellas. I had something. We've been going back and doing some dives into history of leagues, and this week we had like sports oddities, weird plays, that sort of stuff. Gamesmanship yesterday with our football coaches. I wanted to bring in another football play. I wanted to let you guys take a look at this. This was circulating on Twitter today. This is from a documentary about the Philadelphia Eagles. This is from 1933, and it's being deemed the worst play in football history. So I'll let you guys watch. I'll just
Can't
say
wait.
there is something different every time you watch this. You'll notice something different. But I'll let it play through the first time. There you go. Pass over the middle is almost intercepted and broken up. And first, let's observe a couple of things. Let's watch the way the quarterback throws the ball. 2 hands.
What?
It's like a basketball pass, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a chest pass.
Yeah. He doesn't know if he can. Yeah.
And plus, it's like you bring up basketball, Mike. It's like he thinks he's gonna travel with the ball because he takes 2
Yeah.
steps and he's like, "Oh, wait, gotta get rid of it." Nope. Hop potato.
Exactly.
It reminds me of like in like video games that have ragdoll. Like when you just like all of a sudden you ragdoll. Like he touches it and then just falls.
Yeah, it's like the ball hurt him. Like, oh, that's a hot ball. You
It,
know?
You can
like
even
knocked him out.
Yeah,
And-
you can
well,
even
plus-
tell that terrain too is just like not. They're all slipping and sliding around. Look at the lining back here in the back.
Also the lines. Like
I mean,
what are the lines?
Watch
Yeah.
number 72 on the end of the line. Watch the athleticism displayed. Stand up, and yep, did my job. Yep, did my job. He stand up. Okay, nobody's okay. He just lets. Also, like if that wasn't a 2-step drop, 35 here would have gotten a sack. 72 just watches him go right by.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
that's
think-
not a helmet. Maybe those are blinders.
And we have yet to bring up the guy in the back of the end zone there as well.
Yeah, that is not a
The
referee.
journalist.
That is,
Cameraman.
that is
Yeah.
a photographer who's right in the middle of the play. Yep, he's doing his
Does
job
he
too.
really
Yep, got
think
it.
he's gonna catch anything with that camera?
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna get an action shot with that.
Yeah, there's so
gonna
many
take
things.
about
There's,
5
there's the
seconds to
nose
dial up.
tackle who just falls right down on the
Wait.
play to begin. He just I'm just gonna fall. Just gonna fall.
I
There's,
feel like
there's,
the other team's made of jelly. Like they just fall apart.
there's so many great things.
And did you say this is the Eagles?
This is the Eagles.
Wasn't it the Eagles yesterday too?
The Eagles was yeah. This I guess it's an Eagles trend. We'll have to clip both of these for our Eagles friends. One other thing, funny thing, a little bit of a history dive here. You brought up the reporter in the background there. I do have one other small clip, which was funny. Coming up in our discussion of this, I found this clip. This is from a Patriots game. No surprise. Before the Patriots were what they've been in modern history, they were basically the Cleveland Browns. And bad thing, the stands would be on fire. You had guys coming out of the stands to the public address announcers calling for a guy who had gotten cut to come down to the locker room. We need you in the second half. Oh, it was pathetic. Well, this is 12 men on defense is illegal, but this 12th man comes from an unsuspecting place. All right, we're lining up. This is the Patriots need a goal line stand. This is the last play of the game, and there you go. Guy comes out of the stands. Lines up as a middle linebacker, just kind of hides behind the line. Oh, and he deflects the pass, and then just plays it off. Whoop, just going to jog it out. Yep, and just join the fans there.
Oh, my God.
At the end. So
That's insane.
things that would never, ever happen nowadays happened all the time in the 30s and 50s and early 60s in sports. Things you would never see. And
there's
that
multiple
play stood.
officials, too. Yeah,
That
there's
play
multiple
stood.
officials watching that.
That
Got one
play
over in the
stood.
right corner, one in the back of the end zone, one behind the quarterback, and then there he comes.
There you go. He just kind of hides behind the line.
I think
deflects it.
every New England fan would be on the field if
Oh
this
my
was still
God.
allowed today.
Oh, yeah. So just, going back in time and looking at those things from sports is pretty funny. I think, Mike, you found a good one, too, when we were going through this. I don't know if you still have that to pull up.
Oh yeah, no, I'll bring that up. I X'd that one out, but I will bring that up later. We found some good old basketball highlights that I'll show our viewers after the show. But for this pre-show, I did want to bring something up if we have time, if that's okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because if you guys know the Pawtucket Paw Sox, it was supposed to be their last year in Pawtucket this past summer, but that season unfortunately got canceled. I actually I was able to work there the summer before that, and it was a great experience. But wanted to bring this up. It's a 4-day farewell celebration. If you're a fan in the area and you want to say goodbye to your team, they won't be going too far. They'll only be going to Worcester. But they will be leaving the state, unfortunately, in McCoy Stadium that's been there for a while. I'm just going to go down. Here's the schedule. So you got Saturday starting around 9 to 3, and then goes all day, a large event. And then Sunday, same thing, starts at 9 and goes to around 6 p.m. So if you want to say goodbye to a cherished sports team here in Rhode Island, there's the schedule, and I would go. I would definitely go check it out if I had the chance.
The Woo Sox just doesn't have the same
Ooh,
ring to it.
It's not. No, it's not. Luckily, we'll still be able to go watch, but definitely not going to be the same at McCoy Stadium.
Wait, so you're saying like Worcester, Mass?
Yeah,
Yes.
Worcester,
Oh,
Massachusetts.
so
Yes.
They're moving from us. They're moving to where my sister lives. She gets it. She's stealing my team.
Yeah.
No, right? And it's not. They're still like it's still like Red Sox. If it's just like short move, but again, like just disappointing to be leaving Rhode Island.
Yeah. Worcester's got a good minor league sports little circuit. They're gonna have the Woo Sox now. The Worcester Railers are good.
Mhm.
They're actually, I believe, they're a pro. Hockey has whole different tiers of it's not like double A, single A, that sort of thing. But they have a pro hockey team there as well. So lucky Worcester. We got to get something. Maybe we bring football back to the Providence Pirates. We've got a basketball team starting.
The Bruins too. Providence Bruins.
We
still
have
here.
the P
We
Bruins.
yeah.
Maybe we get a football team back. Maybe that's what they do at McCoy. We redo it.
Mhm.
We get the Providence Steamrollers.
Yeah, that's going
NFL
to be
champions. Go back and look. While we're on our history lesson here.
Right. We'll have to go get that now behind the scenes.
And I think the first team to win the World Series, the Providence Grays, way
Really?
back when.
Never
Yep.
heard
Fun
of that.
fact.
We're just loaded with fun facts
Yeah.
here today. So, anyways, guys, love this stuff, love the history stuff, and yeah, love bringing up about the Paw Sox. It was a shame that us locals didn't get to go enjoy it this summer. One last ride with them, but as Joey said, they're not going too far away. So, we will talk to you guys at the end of the show, and get busy to work. It's Friday.
All right.
All right, that is Mike DeFusco and Joey Morelli, the producers here on Seahawk Talk. We're going to go to our first guest now. He is a junior on our men's basketball team, Mikey Spencer. Welcome to the program, Mikey. How are you?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Good. I've kind of been asking everybody this question, for the athletes when we speak to them for the first time. But How was your summer? How did you go about training? I know basketball wise, everybody had a different situation. Some, towns had rims up, others didn't. Some people had to build hoops in their yards. How did you approach the summer and training and staying sharp?
It was definitely tough this summer because usually I get to go to indoor gyms, sometimes even get to come back to Salve. So in this summer, I lived in Newport for about half of it. So it was a little different. I was hoping to be able to use the gym, but everything happened. And I have basketball trainer, and we had to play at outdoor courts a lot, actually. And a lot of times I had to kind of look around for some weights, maybe for weight training, and use it in my backyard. So it was a little different this summer, but seemed to be just as productive.
How has it been adjusting to being back, as you said, now back on campus, adjusting to all the protocols, and then being able to get back in the gym?
It felt great to finally be inside shooting around and using gyms indoors and stuff. But I mean, we can't have too many people per basket and stuff. But we've kind of been making it work. We trying to simulate games, simulate everything as like much as possible, or like as much as we can do. But it's been pretty tough, but we're getting it done.
You're a junior now. Do you feel a little bit more of that extra pressure maybe than before as a freshman or sophomore that now you kind of have to take on that leadership role as on the team instead of just being like, hey, I can just kind of come in and handle my business. Now guys are looking up to me and I have to, assert myself a little more.
It's definitely been a huge focus of mine. Obviously, I want the younger kids or kids on my team to look up to me, and kids outside of basketball and stuff like that, to be like a good person in basketball and outside of it. But it's definitely been a focus for me to be more mature, more of a leader, and kind of voice like my experience, so other people don't have to go through necessarily the same problems and all that.
How much are you still in touch with any former teammates about this sort of stuff? Everybody has had different resources to try and get through this summer and then adjusting to coming back and life in general. But maybe from a basketball sense, have you had anybody that you've leaned on to talk to about different things, whether it's training, whether it's, hey, trying to take on that leadership role? Who have you been in touch with? What have been your resources?
So we've pretty much had like almost the same team since I was a freshman. We were a very young team, but there's been a few kids that have graduated, and I talk to them almost every day still. Can definitely go to them if I need anything, even outside of basketball. That's what kind of it's all about, like making relationships that will last after this, and maybe can get you far in life doing other things other than basketball. But those like guys that are graduated, I definitely look up to them in basketball. I did before, and now I look up to them towards like what they're doing outside of it.
What are your expectations for this team for this season? Is it, just to play games, having that opportunity? And if you do play games, what do you think is the ceiling for this team?
So far, like when we're in practice and stuff, we're not too sure how the season's going to go, or honestly, if we'd even have one. But I've been trying to tell people like we got to go just as hard as we would if we had a game tomorrow. Like we got to be prepared for games, and even if other teams aren't preparing, we still have to because we know what our like main goal is, and we want to be really successful. But we've got kicked out of the playoffs a couple times, so I think we have that as motivation in the back of our head that we want to win the league and go as far as possible. Like we know what we have to do, we know what our goal is, and we know how hard we have to work to get to it.
Yeah. What have you thought so far of what you've been able to do with, some of your new teammates, getting to meet them for the first time, getting on an actual court with some of these guys? What are your thoughts on the young guys so far?
Really good. They've adapted really well. Seems like they're learning everything really quick. We've been trying to like talk to them, teach stuff like that necessarily we would do in practice that we haven't been able to do yet. And a lot of them are catching on really quick and looking pretty good, I think.
You've had some really big scoring games in your career already. 55 points away from 1,000. Do you think you can just, if we only play one game this year, you think you can get that in one game? Or are you even thinking about the 1,000-point thing at all?
I haven't really been thinking about that much. Obviously, it's something that's pretty cool that I'd like to accomplish, but it's kind of like getting the wins. We know what our like all that stuff will come along with us winning. Like I know all of us can get like kind of focus on whoever has the best matchup that game, you got to attack, or whatever's working that game will attack. So as long as we're getting the wins and we're doing good, that's all I care about.
Now, I wanted to get your thoughts. The NBA playoffs might end tonight. Uh, hopefully not. I want to get as much basketball as I can, so I hope we get at least a couple more games. But it could end tonight. The NHL playoffs already ended. I think it's been awesome to see that both of those leagues were able to come back. As a fan, what did you think of the NBA playoffs and their ability to come back, have the bubble, and actually be able to maybe crown a champion tonight?
I thought it was pretty amazing because at first we thought there would be no season and we wouldn't be able to watch basketball anymore, which is obviously like me going into summer. That's like what I look forward to the most, like watching the games with my friends. The playoffs are coming on, the finals are coming on. Like that's what we do. Like every time there's a game, we're all hanging out watching the game and stuff like that. And I was pretty disappointed at first, but I think it's amazing how they have 0 cases of COVID throughout the whole bubble, and I thought it was very well done, and I hope. I think the Lakers will close it out tonight, but I'm not too sure. I wouldn't mind a few more games of basketball.
I was going to say the same thing. Hopefully, Jimmy Butler can put on
Mhm.
another 40-point performance for his team.
Mhm.
What did you think of that? I think the coolest thing watching his performance in Game 3 was that he didn't take a 3-point shot. A
Yeah.
guy, especially in today's NBA, to score 40 points, have a triple-double, the way he affected a game, and to
Mhm.
not even attempt a 3. Do you see something like that as a player, a young player in the modern basketball, and think like, wow, that's something that maybe we can think about. I don't always have to take threes because maybe guys just aren't as developed to defend inside anymore and being
Mhm.
taking advantage there. Does that make an impression on you when you see an elite NBA talent do something like that?
Yeah, of course. I think it should be like a lesson to everyone. Kind of like he obviously used his strengths, and his strengths worked that game. Like no matter what you're doing, as long as you're productive, you should be putting that on the court. Whatever you can do best, you should be providing for your team. And clearly, he didn't. Well, he didn't really need those 3-pointers that game. So whatever, if it's not broken, don't fix it. I think he did a great job doing that. And people, I mean, think like you have to shoot threes nowadays and stuff like that, but kind of whatever your strengths are, you should do.
Awesome. Well, Mikey, thank you so much for joining us here today. Good luck with the rest of the fall, and hopefully we see you out on the court in January.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's Mikey Spencer Jr. on our men's basketball team. We're going to go now to Danny Eruzione, a senior on our men's ice hockey team. Danny, how are you?
How you doing, Pez?
Pretty good. It's been a while since I saw you. Kind of same
Yeah.
deal with Mikey. Give me the catch up. How was your summer, and how is it being back now?
Summer was good. I mean, I went back home to Winthrop this summer, and I was able to train and skate back at home. Like I wasn't able to do that last summer here because I was working so much. But with no work this summer back at home, I was able to train and skate with my old coach and a couple of guys that still play for my town at our local gym. So it was good.
I'll say that must have been nice. I'm sure there weren't many places where you were able to actually get out on the ice.
Yeah. Luckily, where Curry plays over in Canton, my old coach John Lounsbury, he bought ice for the whole summer, so we had a good group of pro guys and we got a good skate.
I want to ask a question that I feel like, for you guys, the spring sports had their seasons come to almost a crashing end back in March. You guys had your season end disappointingly so, honestly, not that far before that happened. In a way, is it weird to say, but you feel like at least you got your season and it was, whatever happened. It wasn't taken away, because potentially you guys could have been in the NCAAs and had a season. Hey, you know what? Sorry, that's it. Did you guys think at all about like, you know what? Hey, that sucked. That was tough, but at least we know what we had and what happened last year.
Yeah, definitely. It would have been a lot worse if we made it to the NCAAs or beyond and had to just end the season like some of those teams had to. But yeah, it was a very disappointing season last year. We had so many injuries. We battled through so many injuries, and from top 6 guys to even guys that were in and out of the lineup. So it was tough. But we'll bounce back.
Now, you guys bring in a lot of new faces. We've talked about they've been the boys from the north, so to speak. What are your thoughts on those guys, on the freshmen, the new guys on the team? Did you have any sort of relationship, know any of them previously, or are they all completely 100% new?
I only knew of one, Brandon Borges, who's transferring in from Skidmore. I played with him growing up, but all the other guys I didn't know. We got a couple of Division I transfers, and then just a bunch of those Canadian freshmen that we brought in. But yeah, this week was the first week that I actually skated with them. It was only 2 days. We skated in captain's practice. It went well, and next week we ramp it up and go every day. So
Yeah.
we'll see more.
Now, this is a question which I'm sure maybe or maybe not sick of being asked, but it's the first time we're talking to you on here. I got to ask you. Your uncle, Mike Eruzione, for those who don't know, of Miracle on Ice fame, was it easier growing up or harder to have that last name and that connection and be in the hockey world?
It was easy. He's someone that the hockey world like appreciates a lot. So it's not like you're handed down like a bad rep or a bad name from him. So it's like it's a good thing to have, or it was, still is.
Yeah. Now, because of that history, you guys, your freshman year, played in a national championship game up in Lake Placid, the site of that miracle game. What did it mean to you to be playing in that game in that location?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was cool. It was even cooler that like I'd never been there, so it was my first time even going to Lake Placid. So that was pretty cool. Um, but yeah, it meant a lot. Obviously, we didn't get the job done, but we came so close. But even the stuff like before national championship even started, all the events they put on for the Frozen Four, like being able to tour and go through the museum and see the town and the city. It's like crazy how they even hosted an Olympics there, like how small and tight packed that place probably was, and even was when it wasn't even that packed when we were there, and it was still pretty tight. But yeah, it was definitely pretty cool.
Yeah. Every year for you has kind of been different. Your freshman year, and I talked to Zach about this, it was not that everything came easy, but it was just you guys just were on a tear pretty much from the drop of the first puck against Norwich that year. A couple of little bumps here and there, but an amazing year right up until the end. And then it's almost the bar set so high. And the expectations coming into your sophomore year are so high. And that was a very different type of year. Last year, as you said, all the injuries and everything. Now it's senior year. How do you kind of take the lessons and the perspective of everything and apply how all those years, what went well, what went didn't, and what you think can fuel this season?
Well, we had 11 guys from in my class that all played on that national championship team. So, I mean, it's like cliche to say that like we know how to win games, but we've been there. We've lost games. We've won all those games. We've gotten to we haven't gotten to a conference final yet. But our class knows what to do, and in the class underneath me, the juniors, it's a big group of guys, and they were part of a couple of the guys that are on the national championship team, so they got handed down some knowledge from them. And last year's class that came in is a pretty big class as well, so they learned a lot from last year in the season that we had last year, and hopefully my class and this junior class can hand it down to this big class that we just brought in this year.
Yeah. Has it gone by incredibly fast?
Yeah, so fast. I don't know. I felt like I played the national championship like a year or two ago. It's kind of crazy. Even that year went by so fast. Like it was like one thing we were playing like the up at Norwich on that banner night, and then a month later we were in Lake Placid. So it's kind of crazy how time flies like that. But this season, I'm sure is going to go by even quicker. I think I heard we're just playing in conference games, so you're not playing the same amount of games, I guess, that you would be playing normally in an extended period of time. But it's shortened this year, but I think it'll be good.
Does that, because of that, playing the shortened season, just conference games, every game means more now. You can't have, a string of bad nights. Is there an extra emphasis? I know it's early on. You guys are just starting to practice, but will there be an extra emphasis on having to start well and start fast?
Oh, absolutely. Um, there's been a pattern over the past couple of years that we'll start off hot and then we'll lose some games to some teams that we're really losing to, and you just can't have that in a shortened season like we're gonna have. And yet, like I said earlier, like we still made a conference championship, and that's something that we really want to do, and then worry about the big thing after that, which is national championship.
Now, trying to think ahead. I know you don't necessarily maybe want to do that. We're focused on the season and all those things. But what are your plans? Is this going to be your final year? Everything's all so up in the air, but if you play this year out and everything kind of goes the way we all think it's going to go, would this be your final year here at Salve?
Um, if it all plays out, what am I going to do after? Is that what the
Yes.
question was? Sorry. I hope to sign pro. I would like to go over to Europe. I just got my Italian passport, so I can go over there, and I'd have to spend a year and a half in the country of Italy to become a full-time citizen, um, Italian citizen. So I'd like to explore my options in Europe rather than over in North America, just because I just don't see myself fitting to a league, the East Coast League. If I had the opportunity to maybe get something in the American League, then that would be great. But the East Coast League, I don't know. I don't think it's the right fit for me. But Europe's probably my main goal.
I know you guys have a tight knit alumni group, especially the guys you've played with, been in the trenches with. I know you guys all still talk, but how much have you had conversations with them about? Because I know there's some guys that have gone over to Europe and are playing there now, or plan to, or have played over there. How many of those conversations have you had already?
Not really much with some of the guys that I played with before, just because they went to leagues that not really I'm planning on like going to. So like I think a couple of them in France, and I don't know. I think I'm gonna try to stay within Sweden, Italy, Switzerland, like that area. But I talked to Colin Clapton the other day. I think he's heading over to Norway pretty soon, which is great for him. He took a year off from playing, and now he really wants to get back to it. And I think Europe is a good spot for him as well.
How good's your Italian?
No, terrible. I haven't. I don't.
So is that,
I'm actually in French right now. It's tough. Really tough.
so I'm guessing it's not a prerequisite then to speak Italian to go play. I mean, I guess it's hockey, right? You just once you step on the ice, you don't need to know any of the language. It's the language of its own, right?
Yeah.
Now, just real quick, I saw this breaking news last night that your uncle Mike successfully had a knee replacement,
Yeah.
and that he's going to be he's ready to be out on the golf course and playing again soon. My question to you is: next summer, if you're not in Italy, will you be torturing him on the golf course?
He's too good. He's way too good. He plays every single day. No, but it's funny because we have a cousins group chat, and they said after he gets out of surgery, he's gonna become a scratch golfer again. 'Cause he's had this busted knee for literally like 8 years, and he's just refusing to get it fixed. So he finally got it fixed, and they're saying he's just gonna golf every single day, and he's gonna make him feel so much better. So, but no, I won't be able to beat him. He's too good. He's too consistent. Hits the ball straight and not long, but straight, and makes pars and birdies. And it's tough to do.
All right, Danny. Great to see you. Can't wait to get you guys out on the ice. Hopefully everything goes according to plan and you're playing this January. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Appreciate
All right, that's Danny Eruzione of our men's ice hockey team. We're going to bring in now the head coach of our women's ice hockey team, David Lund. Dave, how are we doing here this week?
Doing well, Paz. How you doing?
Good. I don't know why we got a black screen. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
We
can
got
you hear me
we
all
got
right?
David. Yep, I can see you now. You guys began practice, not on the ice yet. That'll start next week. Off ice practice, but how did that go? What do you do in an off ice practice?
Yeah, sure. So Our off ice was like a regular workout and conditioning session. It's basically geared to get the girls moving again. Getting up to speed. Just nothing too crazy. A lot of prehab type stuff. Just getting the hips. Moving correctly, getting the footwork. Doing little ladders. And basically it was just to kind of get the girls all as a group together. And moving. I think it's more social and communal at that point, just to get to see faces together, bodies moving. And, I wasn't really pushing them too hard. It's still very, very early, so I don't need any injuries yet. But just kind of a group together and do a little sweat and get them on their way.
How exciting is it going to be to actually get on ice next week? Strap up the skates, get everybody out there and actually be really working on some hockey things on a sheet.
Yeah, we're excited. I'm excited. It'll be a little different. It'll be smaller groups and pods, but I think it'll all kind of melt away. No pun intended. As the girls are getting moving around. I'm excited. It'll be fun. It'll good to see them on the ice. It'll be my first opportunity in person to watch them. Watch them skate and see what I'm working with, see, where everyone's skill level is, how much rust is on some of the steel and away we go.
Talking about rust on the steel. When was the last time you were on a sheet of ice?
Oh yeah. I pop on here and there when I get asked to help out a little bit. But it hasn't been much over the past, a little bit. It's definitely, I'm going to have my fair share of rust. So I'm not going to be trying to do too much silliness out there. Just kind of keep it straight and narrow.
Yeah, I was gonna say that applies to what you're trying to do with the players applies to coaches as well. Don't need anybody to pull a hammy or anything like that.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, no showing off. gotta warm up first before that can happen.
The NHL draft was this week. Free agency started today. Is it weird as a fan to see an off season happening so quickly after a season just ended? It's like already we hear coaches like Bill Belichick the day after a Super Bowl like we're on to next year. That was the Super Bowl was in the past. People talk like that, but it's actually happened. 1 year ended, boom, next year began right away. Is it weird as a fan to see that happen?
Yeah, I think it's kind of exciting, to be honest with you. It's a different pace. It kind of keeps hockey fresh in terms of where we are at in the NHL season. Normally it's Stanley Cup's awarded. You kind of pay attention for a little bit. What's going on with the team. The parade and all that good stuff, and then it kind of just kind of fades away a little bit. But here it's just like boom, running right through a stop sign. It's all go. It's kind of frantic right now. People are getting signed all over the place. People are coming, people are going. So I think it's pretty exciting actually.
So NHL offseason already begun. NBA offseason will begin shortly. Could begin as soon as tomorrow.
Yeah.
If the Lakers win tonight. If you were in that situation as a player, would you like or dislike that your next season is going to start soon? First, as the perspective as a player, would you like that?
Ooh, as a former player, you look for that off season. You look forward to it, kind of like shifting gears, downshifting, especially after a kind of a long season, and if you went even longer, deep into playoffs, you look for that rest and recovery and recuperation. And then you let that kind of longing for the game kind of come back. It takes a little time to get back into the want to play, the desire, the drive. You enjoy the off season, then slowly as the weeks and the months kind of drag along, you're starting to get excited again for the season roll around. Now it's hard for me to say as a player what that would be like today. Especially like say for Dallas or Tampa, someone who's gone 2 months of playing playoff hockey, and then gearing up maybe in another 2 months, less than that you got to go back to training camp and do it all over again. So I don't know. It's tough for me to say. I'm sure that they're excited too, but in the same breath, they're like, man, we just got done. Now I kind of want to enjoy some of it, but I don't know. It's a little different for sure. But you're getting paid enough money to do it. You gotta, just like all of us, it's part of what it is now. You just roll with the punches and you bear down. It's, I imagine it's not going to be like this for year after year after year. It's just kind of this, this period of time that we're in that's making it is what it is. So just get it done with it. Everyone's got to go through it, and strap on the hat and back to work.
Is it kind of the same thing if you were a coach in this situation, or you're somebody who's part of the team or management or anything like that? And the next season's starting right away. Does it depend on how the season ends? Like if you have like a gut wrenching, like a Game 7 Stanley Cup loss, you're like, get us right back out there. We want to get it back as soon as possible. But if you just had a long tough season and it's nothing really gut wrenching, it's just what happened. You need more of that time off to just separate, like you said.
I think it's a little different being, upper management, if you will. You're not as physically involved in the game. You're in more of a mental kind of capacity. So I think from like a coaching perspective or a general manager's perspective, these guys' wheels are always turning. They're always looking for an edge. They're always, mulling over ideas and systems and strategies in their head. It just kind of comes with the territory. You're doing it in your sleep. You're doing it in the off season. You're just always preparing for the next, practice, event, competition, whatever the case may be. So, I'm sure these guys, their job's a little different than a player's job. The players are able to kind of turn it off and turn it on a little bit, and they look for that off season. Whereas a coach and manager, I'm sure they look forward to the off season, but they've got strategies in the back of their skull that they're ready to put to paper, put to practice, and see how it works. So I'm sure these guys' wheels are turning all the time, and their off season's probably a little bit shorter than the players themselves.
You talked about that want, that desire, all of that building. How much has it built up for you now? We get. You go through the summer, you go through the application process, the hiring process, you're hired, all the roadblocks that have been put in place. Not necessarily roadblocks, but, pieces of adversity to overcome. I know Bill Villarreal didn't want to talk about it being roadblocks. They're challenges that we need to overcome. Yeah. How much has that want built up for you now? Like you said, the gears are always turning. You must be just so ready to just get going.
Yeah. I had a lot of ideas coming in, to the position and what a program in my head looked like, in a regular circumstance or kind of in a normal circumstance, if you will. But it's kind of one thing in your head and on paper, and then when you're actually kind of thrown into the pool, what do you do from there? So again, I'm trying to go off of the map that I had in my head and plan things accordingly. But you deal with things that are a little bit unorthodox on a daily basis. So definitely eager to get going and put pen to paper. But just trying to have to deal with the obstacles and those sort of things. You start to you kind of start dipping into contingency plans or having to reevaluate plans and revamp them, or just kind of scrap things and have to start over again. So it's been interesting. I think I'm kind of more in the territory of uncharted right now, just kind of trying to, just what do I do with this situation, this scenario, or this is a possibility down the road. So what do I do here? And starting to map those out a little bit. So, eager to get going, excited to get going, but just trying to keep the focus in front of me here and getting through, the times without necessarily a light in front of you to guide you.
Awesome. Well, David, thank you so much for joining us here today, and I look forward to talking to you again next week.
Absolutely. Thanks, Baz.
All right, that's David Lund, the head coach of our women's ice hockey team. We're going to take a short break and be back with Cori Hughes, our head women's basketball coach here at Salve Regina. Don't go anywhere.
So you want to be a Seahawk? Let's make sure you wash your hands, keep your distance, wear your mask, and love your Seahawks.
Sammy, no mask?
Come on, Sammy. I know it's pumpkin spice season, but you can't bring drinks to class.
We have simple rules here, Sammy. Get out. Come
back when you can follow them.
You gotta take care of yourself and others, even if you are Sammy the Seahawk.
Welcome back to Seahawk Talk. I'm your host, Andrew Pizzelli. We're going to go now to Cori Hughes, the head coach of our women's basketball team, to round out this week's programming. Cori, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Give us the update. How has practice been? Another week under the belt. How are things going? Any bit of a ramp up here with the team?
Well, we're getting it done a little bit in the gym. We're still, having to adjust how we're practicing. So, a lot of things don't look like basketball yet. It looks a lot like drills. But I do see progression. Kids are still working hard, anxious to start to put the pieces together a little bit. But we're still struggling with adapting to this, and it's starting to get to be cold and flu season, and so kids that are having symptoms, we have to kind of put everything on hold, and that makes it hard to get any continuity. But again, we're just grateful to be able to be in the gym. So
I wanted to ask you something. This came up off air, just totally random conversation earlier in the week, and I wanted to get your thoughts about because we were talking about differences between sports and different rules and all sorts of things. I think we were talking about difference between men's and women's lacrosse. And there are many differences between men's and women's basketball. Your thoughts on universal rules and equipment. So, like, the basketball is obviously a different size for men and women.
yeah.
Should we just have it be the same size ball for everybody? Or, is it good to have it be, hey, just because from a physical standpoint, there are differences between men and women. So the ball, I wanted to get your opinion on the
Right.
ball thing.
Well, I do see the advantage, and there's not actually that many rules that are different in men's and women's, as far as like the physicality and the court size and how high the rim is and like all of those things. The ball's different. For a while, the shot clock was different. It's really not that different. I don't know why we don't have universal rules, to be honest. The ball itself, I will say that I'm old enough to be part of a generation that used a men's ball. Like, there was no women's ball when I played in high school. The first time I ever shot a women's ball, I was a senior in high school, and I was furious about the change. But I will say, you're talking to somebody that actually, my hands look huge in this picture, but I have really small hands. Like, my ring size is a size like 4. I mean, I am small, so I guess my hands are pretty proportional. But the smaller ball does make a difference in relationship to how big women are compared to men. And the reality, and this is actually a very interesting conversation, because I had an interesting conversation with Mike. On Oh geez, when was that? A couple days ago, actually. He was writing some things about gender equality in sports, and I'm sorry, I didn't even tell you who Mike, you're a co-producer there, and I was saying that there's just a big difference in the physicality of men and women. I mean, we can talk all day long, and I could argue all day long about the skill level of men and women and the intelligence regarding athletics, in specific sports. And I can argue that I am a better basketball player than many men. But men, almost every man that I've ever met is bigger and stronger and faster than I am. So that makes a difference when you're playing a sport. And that's why I think having a smaller ball actually does help women, particularly being able to have the same kind of range as a man does. But I think if we went back to playing with a men's ball, that we would adjust to that and we would be fine. But I do see the advantage. The 3-point line, they're talking about moving the men's back and the women might go back with it. I mean, the men's has gone back and the women might follow anyway, Andrew. I mean, we're right on the heels of that. That there is a large difference between the size of the center on my team and the center on Sean's team. There's a huge difference in, I mean, the guards on Sean's team are the same size as my centers for the most part. So, when you're talking about size and strength, it does make a big difference with what your range is going to be and just your ability to get up and down the floor more quickly and all those things. And I'm, as you know, a huge feminist, and I'm also a realist. I lost playing against men that were not anywhere near as good at the game of basketball as I am, but they were just so physically dominant over me because I'm so small that they could just back me in.
Yeah.
So there are some physical differences to the game, but I think everything else is exactly the same. And I am going to kind of go off on a little tangent too, because I had somebody, it just blows my mind. I had a conversation with a guy who I really like and respect, and he's an older gentleman. And he called me because he had a young girl, a high school kid, who wants to play in college. And he's a coach, and he's coached boys basketball for years and years and years in Kentucky. And she said, "Will you work with me?" And he called me because he said, "I don't know how to work with a woman, a girl." Are you playing basketball? All right, then teach that. There's really not a lot of differences when you're talking about that kind of thing. Athletes are athletes, and men and women are both athletes. And I think that they respond to the same things. People that say that you could be harder on guys than you can on girls, I don't necessarily think that that's true. My girls can take it, and I know a lot of guys that can't. I don't think that has anything to do
Depends
with
on the
gender.
culture you breed, right?
And it depends on
that culture of accountability,
correct.
and I'm going to be tough on everyone, then you can be, guys or
Yeah,
girls.
exactly. And it also depends on the individual. There are things, I do not treat all my players the same. I treat them all fairly, but I don't treat them all the same because I have to find ways to get them motivated. And a good example is somebody like Meg Harden. I didn't yell at Meg Harden a lot, and she made mistakes, but she didn't respond well to that. It didn't get anything from me to yell at her. I could get her to do things in different ways. Whereas somebody like Katie Burrell fed off that. She wanted me to yell at her, so I did. I mean, so I think it depends on the individual player. It depends on the culture that you create for your players and what that entails. And I don't think it really matters that much as far as gender is concerned. I don't,
Yeah.
but
You brought up Meg Harden. It made me think of something. You talk about, being mad, things you get mad about on the court. Who stands out to you? Maybe you don't even have to say who's the best or the most this, but as far as no, 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 okay, yes, players, where it's like somebody's doing something like, oh, why are you pulling up? Okay, you made that. All right.
oh my God, I hope she's listening. There's a bunch of instances that I can think of that. And I actually, Meg Harden, there wasn't a lot of them, but you know who really?
I think I know. I hope we.
Mary
I hope we think,
Eden.
yes, that's what I was thinking of.
Mary Eden.
Because when you mentioned bringing the 3-point line back, I was thinking I know somebody who that would not matter to.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think that I think I could have done a better job communicating with Mary Eden, because I do think that there was miscommunication with us, because her senior year I couldn't get her to shoot the ball. So, I mean, she was one of our best passers. She was always a very good passer, but she was always somebody that looked to shoot first. And then I think me getting on her about shot selection made her believe that I didn't want her to shoot the ball. And that was not the case. I just wanted her to be a little bit more aware of time and score, in particular, like the shot clock. But she took my teaching criticisms, I guess, or input to think that I didn't want her to shoot. And then that was the first thing from the truth. So, yeah, that's the other thing. You got to be careful with how you communicate. Not everybody hears the same way, some people you can say, 10 really positive things to, and one negative, and they're all they're going to hear is that negative. So it's tough. I mean, they're all people, and they all have egos, and they all want to please. They want to please the coach. They want to please their teammates. They want to be successful. It can be a difficult job communicating sometimes.
I wanted to ask you, we spoke to Mikey Spencer about the NBA Finals. We spoke to David Lund about the NHL Stanley Cup coming to an end. The WNBA Finals finished this week as well. They were in a bubble. They did it as well.
They did do it.
Your thoughts on that? People say Seattle doesn't have a basketball team either. Well, the Seattle Storm balled out.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that, and then what Sue Bird accomplished, coming back injured, coming back at her age to put up the numbers she did.
One of my favorite players of all time. I mean, just a quality player, and from every account, just a quality individual. I can't say enough about what she's done for the sport of women's basketball. Interesting person as well. Her partner, I think that they're not married. Perhaps they're married at this point also. Just an amazing athlete, and has done a lot for the game of women's soccer. But I think the WNBA has just come so far, and I really hope that people were watching this year and talk about doing it right as well. Being in that bubble. I mean, they're afforded that opportunity, and I feel like all of these professional teams, if they can, and I don't want to be critical of other sports because I think that it's more difficult with more people and all of that. But I think that the NBA and the NHL and the WNBA really did it right in making it a bubble, really limiting the contact that they had with the outside world. I mean, because regardless of your age, people are people, and we're social creatures, and just trying to take away some of that temptation, I think, is probably helpful. You can say all you want about people being adults, and that's also an argument in this country that we all should be responsible for our own decisions, but our decisions affect other people. And that's where your rights stop, right? So I think putting them in that bubble served a lot of different purposes for a lot of people, kept the people around them safe as well, not just them, and afforded them the opportunity to have, an exciting season in a really difficult circumstance. So, I hope some people saw that, because it was, meaning the WNBA, because there was some really good basketball played in a really shortened, compromised season. The NBA as well. And I just love Sue Bird, so I'm really happy for her and proud. And all right, ladies, let's go. Right?
Yeah, in a way, COVID helped her being able to come back. The delay, if this was played out normally, she would not have been on the floor.
Correct.
Amazing,
those right?
Little weird things that you get.
Yeah, good for her. Yeah, I was excited to see all the things that she was able to accomplish, and she has struggled with injuries for the last few years. So it was nice that she was able to come back the way she did and have the kind of performances that she did. So
awesome. Hey, Cori, always love talking to you, getting your insights. Thank you so much for joining us and sending us off into the weekend well.
Okay, yeah. Have a good weekend, everybody.
All right. That's Cori Hughes, the head coach of our women's basketball team. We're going to take a very quick break and be right back to wrap up this week's program. Don't go anywhere.
So you want to be a Seahawk? Let's make sure you wash your hands, keep your distance, wear your mask, and love your Seahawks.
Sammy, no mask?
Come on, Sammy. I know it's pumpkin spice season, but you can't bring drinks to class.
We have simple rules here, Sammy. Get out. Come back when you can follow them.
You gotta take care of yourself and others, even if you are Sammy the Seahawk.
All right, welcome back to Seahawk Talk. I'm your host, Andrew Pizzelli. I want to bring in the producers now to help close out today's program, Joey Morelli and Mike DeFusco. Fellas, I always like to get your initial thoughts. I know you guys always have something to say about our guests that we had. So your thoughts and impressions from today's lineup.
Yeah, no, definitely. Always love having Coach Hughes on. As she said, I had the opportunity to sit down with her with an interview on Wednesday, which was awesome. I just finished transcribing that today. And then also, it was nice to hear from David Lund too, just to see he's adjusting well. It's tough being a new person, a new coach anywhere. So that was positive.
Oh, come on, Joey.
I didn't even mute it. It did that itself. Okay. I was just agreeing with Mike, and I was also saying it was cool to hear from Danny talking about the different like leagues in Europe and stuff. Like, I didn't realize it was so varied, and I guess like I kind of knew Italy would have a hockey league. I don't know why. It's like not that cold there, but I just kind of felt like it made sense. And I'm like, yeah, it makes sense that he'd want to go over there, knowing him. Like that's the general area, like the Alpine area he wants to stay in. Thought that was kind of cool.
Cool. What else do you guys have? I know you guys each have some really cool news stories. Mike, why don't you go ahead and bring up what you were interested in talking about?
Yeah, no, definitely. It seemed like a very, another positive story. A Newport teacher was named the Financial Literacy Educator of the Year. Name is Maria Tavarozzi, teacher at Rogers High School. Just wanted to highlight this. It was she was actually surprised with the award during, I guess, a staff meeting over Zoom, and everyone seems to be very happy for her. My teacher in high school, actually, in East Greenwich, was given this award back when I was there in like 2017. So it's a very, very prestigious award. Very happy for her, and happy to see someone from the Newport area receiving it.
And financial literacy, that is something we need to be teaching more and more and more in high school. I know I wish I had been taught more of it in high school. Really, and that's a really important thing to be instilling in people earlier. And that's really an awesome award for her.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Joe, I think you had a really good story as well you wanted to share.
I had to pull it up on my phone because my computer wouldn't open it, but it was an article on the Newport News. A Eagle Scout named Ethan Myers, who's a senior in high school, he's about to graduate this year, in Tiverton, is doing something he's calling Operation Play It Forward, and he's working with this organization called Gifts to Give, where he's trying to collect 1,000. Oh, you tried.
I hit the
paywall. That's why I had to open up my phone.
I know that feeling.
It's called for Gifts to Give. He's trying to collect 1,000 balls to donate to them to distribute to children in Rhode Island and Massachusetts who are like less fortunate. And I'm not sure if it's necessarily for Christmas, because it says end of December is like when he wants to have them. I'm not sure if he's trying to get them out for Christmas or just in general, but I think it's a really good cause. And he's he mentions somebody donated, like, what was it? He's got 100 right now. Someone bought him 20 soccer balls, like one person just like brought him like a bag of soccer balls. And it's a really interesting story. He's talking about, and then they talk a little bit about him and like how he's been in the Scouts for a really long time. And it's like a whole lineage of things. And his father and uncle and like their grandfather, and they've always done kind of like charity things like this. So it's nice to see him following in their footsteps. And if you guys don't, if you people listening don't encounter the paywall, you can find the article, and at the bottom it gives his contact information if you want to donate.
Cool. awesome. Guys, great work today and throughout this week. Hope you guys enjoy the long weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Yep, that's right. See you Tuesday.
All right, that's Joey Morelli and Mike DeFusco, the producers here on Seahawk Talk. We are live every day, 3 to 4 p.m. on the Salve Athletics Network. That is Facebook Live, YouTube, and Periscope through Twitter. You can go back and watch any of the shows through those platforms. You can also subscribe to the Seahawk Talk podcast, an audio-only version of every single show, so you can never miss an episode. You can take it on the go. As I mentioned just before, we will not be live on Monday. Want everybody to enjoy and safely enjoy the 3-day weekend. We'll be back on Tuesday with a full lineup. As always, until then, I am Andrew Pizzelli. Hope you enjoy your weekend, everybody, and we'll talk to you again soon.